Jai Hind everyone, myself Sandeep Yadav, Assistant Professor CSC Department. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on Fundamental of Database Concepts that is being taught in the B.Tech students and MC student of Akgec and various other universities. Besides this curriculum is also being taught to BC students throughout the universities, pan-India universities. So today we are going to discuss the fundamentals of this subject. This is the outline. Introduction to Dbms, various application, advantage, disadvantage, file system, various abstraction levels, mapping, and various type database as well the keys. So let us start first with the introduction to Dbms. Well, Dbms, as you know, stand for Database Management System. So in order to understand this term Dbms, we need to first understand what is data. So data, as already mentioned, is a fact. So it is a fact that can be recorded or stored. So any facts or the record which we gather is known as data. It can be anything: person name, age, gender, weight, etc. Second term that is used is database. So database is the logical grouping of the data. For example, we can say book database in library, student database in university, etc. Third term is management. Management involves the manipulation, searching, and security of database. Viewing the result in Akgec, searching examination paper in Akgec consists of that portion. Next is the system. Now, the program or tools that we use to manage database comes under this category. Now, various tools can be SQL Server Studio, Oracle, etc. Now, finally we have come to know the basic concepts: data, database, management, and system. One more term is there, that is information, which most of you may have studied in previous years. So, information is the process data. That is, after processing, the data becomes the information. Information is the process data which has undergone the transformation. Now, we are finally going to club these two terms together and start with the concept of Dbms. Well, Dbms is a software, as clearly stated, for creating and managing as well as securing the database. It is a software that is used to define, construct, manipulate, retrieve, share, and secure the data in the database. Where the data resides? The data resides in the database, and the database is kept in the disk. Now, Dbms is of various types. Some of the examples are illustrated here: SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, SQLite, MongoDB2, and so on. So there are various type of databases are there. Some of them are illustrated here. Now, in addition to this, we can also think of IBM DB2, Fox2. These were some of the earliest databases. So clear cut, the Dbms has come into role to provide the convenience to the user, which was lacking in the file system. Now let us see the application. See, database is practically used everywhere nowadays. All the organization involves record keeping. So wherever record keeping is desired, you need to use the Dbms. Dbms is actually a computerized record keeping system, but it is more versatile and more better than the previous file system that we used to use earlier. Now, Dbms is a computerized record keeping system. It is required wherever the data needs to be stored. An example we can consider the various e-commerce sites: Flipkart, Amazon, Shopclue, eBay, etc. Second, the online OTT platforms like Hotstar, Amazon, Netflix. And what else? Social media. Social media is very vast: Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Telegram. So all these comes under this social media. Then banking sector is there, insurance sector is there. All they need record keeping of the data of their customers. Airline and railway reservation system, where the data is to be stored. Universities, colleges, library, human resource management, hospitals, stores, government organizations, and many more applications of DBMS is there. Practically, though, there is no field where we are not recording the data. Either in hospital also, where we store the data regarding the patient, their diagnosis, their results, and the diseases they are suffering, right? All these things are stored. All the information regarding to the employees are also being stored there. So it is used everywhere. It is becoming omnipotent type of things that it need to be used everywhere. Now the advantages of DBMS. First, it reduces the redundancy. See, what is redundancy? Is the repetition of the data or the duplication of data. That is, the data had several copies. So as such, it creates the redundancy. As an example, we see here. See, there is one computer department, civil department, electrical department, and mechanical department. Now, what we are seeing is same data is being stored at different places. See, same information is stored at 4 different locations. So, database can remove such redundancy by storing the data centrally in file system. The same data used to be stored at 4 different locations at different sites. Now, in DBMS, we store that centrally, thereby reducing the need for redundancy. Next is the removal of inconsistency. Inconsistency means the data is not in correct state, is not up to the mark or updated one. See how it works. Now see here, the contact number of Sandeep is defined everywhere as 1234. Now the mobile number is changed. Now the mobile number is changed from 1234 to 6789. 6789 has been changed at 2 places, but it has not been changed at all the places. So this, now the same value is having the different state at different locations. So this creates the inconsistency. To resolve this inconsistency, we have to use database, whereby the updates are applied at all the value at a time. Next is data isolation. See, the data is scattered in different files. Regarding the Sandeep, the data is scattered in different files. In one file, I have the address. In another file, the salary and all the load, and in another file, the teaching and knowledge. All these ratings are there. So files, data is scattered in 3 different files in this particular example, and the files are having the different formats. So it is very difficult to retrieve the appropriate data. DBMS allows us to access or retrieve the data easily. So data isolation is a property which determines when and how the changes made by one operation become visible to the concurrent users and systems. This issue occurs in concurrency situation. Actually, concurrency is when multiple users access the database at a moment of time. In practical scenario, so multiple users are accessing any application at a particular moment of time. All the commercial applications are being accessed by millions of users at any point of instance of time. Some have heavy load, some are having light load, but the number of consumers are so much. Next is guaranteed atomicity. That is, either the transaction execute 0% or 100%. See, we have 2 person A and person B. So person A and person B are having certain rupees in their account. One is having 2000 and another is having 1000. So the sum is 3000. Now this is transferring 500 to this account B. So step number 1, we will debit 500 from the account of A and credit into the account of B. Now sum of both account after the transfer is 300, should be 300. Now one step has been accomplished, that 500 has been debited from here, but after this step the transaction fails. So clearly 500 has been deducted from the account of A but not deposited to the account of B. So this results in inconsistency. That is, the total amount is now different. So we will undo this change and we will be using the rollback command so that 500s come back again in the account of A. So half of the transaction fail and half of the transaction is successful. But the property says that either it is 0% or 100%. So the whatever transaction is successful, it will also fail and the execution will be equivalent to 0%, means we need to restore the previous value. Now it allowed to implement the integrity constraints. For example, the mobile number should have exact 10 digits. If we are entering more than 10 digit or less than 10 digit, it will not be permitted, since we define the mobile number should have been exactly 10 digit. And for example, CGPI of any student can lie between 0 to 1. One cannot accidentally enter it 11, 12 or it can be in minus. No, that is not allowed or permitted. So whatever is allowed is that the value should be between 0 to 10. So this is a validation, that value lies here. So to enforce that, we have to implement the constraints. That constraints need to be implemented. So Dbms allows to implement such business rules in our database. Now the sharing of data among the different users, multiple users. So computer person want to access the data of electrical one. No, that is not allowed in a traditional system. And the computer person want to access civil data. No, not allowed again. So, but Dbms allows more than one user to access the data simultaneously. Next is restricting the unauthorized access to the data. So suppose this is our file, this is our data, and faculty from other institute want to access it. So they cannot access, since they will not have authority, they will not have the privilege to access the data. So he want to access, no, we will not allow him to access. The access is being denied to outside faculty. Whereas if our faculty want to access, they can access, since they have been given the access to the data, that is they have been given the permission. How the permissions is being granted? Using data control languages, whereby we grant the privilege to the faculty members. They have their login and ID through which they can access the data, whereas any outsider cannot access the data, since they have not been given the privilege, they have not been given the password as well as the login. So Dbms prevents unauthorized user to access the data. Now next is providing backup and recovery. See, backup is a very important thing. See, the failure in system can occur at any moment of time. The transaction can also fail at any moment of time. So we need the periodic backups of the data so that it can be used whenever the failure occurs to restore the system to a consistent state. So Dbms provide the mechanism to backup and restore the database in case of failures. So let us summarize the advantages of Dbms that we have studied. First, it reduces the redundancy, that is duplication, whereby we avoid the unnecessary duplication of data by storing the data centrally. Second, we remove the data inconsistency by eliminating the redundancy. Data inconsistency can be reduced. Third is the data isolation, that a user can retrieve proper data as per his or her requirement. Now next, guaranteed access. This is related to the transitions, where we propose that a transition runs as a single indivisible unit of work, that is either all the operations are successful or none are, that is it executes 0 or 100%. Now it allows us to implement the integrity constraints. Next is it allows to share the data among the multiple users. So more than one user can access the same data at a particular moment of time, and it restricts the unauthorized user to access the data, and it provides the backup and recovery, that can be used in case of failures. Now, it can be auto or manual backup. Now, some more terms need to be discussed. One more term is metadata. See, we have lot of database objects inside our database. So, we need information about different database objects that are present in our database. For that, we need metadata. Metadata, well, is data about data. Data such as table name, column name, the data type, the authorized user, user access, privilege for any table. It's called metadata for that particular table. So, for this particular table, what will be the metadata? The table name will be the part of metadata. The columns will be the part of metadata. The data types of each attribute will be the part of metadata. And the access. What access can be there? Either he can read or write. So, these things are the part of the metadata that we need to store separately in addition to the table. Next is data dictionary. Data dictionary is a repository which contains the complete metadata, that is table name, column name, data type, privilege. In addition to table, we can also have the other database objects like synonyms, index. They will be also part here. Next term that is quite often and frequently used, data warehouse, which is a repository which stores the database. Next term is field. A field is a character or a group of characters that have the specific meaning. For example, the value of employee name, address, mobile number, etc. are all the fields in a particular faculty. See, these are all the fields: employee name, the address, and the mobile number. And next term is record or the tuple. It is a collection of all the logically related fields. So there are two tuples in this particular example, one consisting of entry of Ajay and second consisting entry of Sandeep Kumar. So these rows are known as the records or the tuples. Next term is schema. Well, schema is the overall design of a particular data, that is using any data model. Schema is the overall design. It is the skeleton structure that represents the logical view of the entire database. Now, entire database schema can be categorized into two particular variety. One is physical data schema, another is logical database schema. Now, the physical data schema refers to the actual storage of data, that is how the data is to be stored, what will be the form of storage, and like files, indexes, and all those things. And it will be ultimately stored in the secondary storage devices or external storage devices. More common is disk. Second is the logical database schema, which defines that all the logical constraints that need to be applied on the data stored. Various tables, views, and integrity constraints comes under this category. Next term is the instance. Well, it is a value of a database at particular moment of time. Since the database keep on changing with the passage of time, so we need to capture the snapshot of the database, which can be used whenever we require the previous or old values. For that values, we can use the snapshots. Well, that is over for today's lecture.